Night shift had a sound of its own. It wasn't loud. It was the opposite, too quiet. A quiet filled with beeping monitors, soft footsteps, the distant hum of air vents, and the occasional cough echoing down long hospital corridors. St. Mary's Medical Center looked clean and calm during the day. At night, it felt different. Heavier. Like the building carried the weight of every life inside it. Emily Carter knew that sound well. She had been working the night shift for 6 years. While most of the city slept, Emily walked the halls of the neurology wing, checking vitals, adjusting IVs, whispering reassurances to patients who might never hear her. Or so everyone thought. Emily was 34 years old, with tired eyes and a soft voice that rarely rose above a murmur. She wore her brown hair tied back in a low bun, strands always slipping loose by the middle of her shift. Her scrubs were faded from years of washing, her sneakers permanently squeaked on polished floors. She wasn't the fastest nurse. She wasn't the loudest. She wasn't the one doctors praised during meetings. But she was the one who stayed. Every night, after her rounds were done, Emily did something that made the other nurses uncomfortable. She talked to the patients in comas. "You know they can't hear you, right?" That was what Nurse Dana said the first time she saw it. Emily had been standing beside room 317, one hand gently resting on the bed rail. The patient, a middle-aged man named Robert Hale, had been unconscious for 8 months after a severe stroke. Emily leaned close and spoke softly. "You're doing okay tonight, Robert. Your heart rate's steady. Your wife came earlier, she read to you again. She really loves that mystery novel, even if you don't." Dana stopped in the doorway, arms crossed. "You know they can't hear you, right?" she said, not unkindly, but not gently either. Emily looked up, startled. "I know," she said. Dana raised an eyebrow. "Then why do you do that?" Emily thought for a moment. "Because they're still here." Dana shook her head and laughed. "You're wasting your breath." Maybe she was. But Emily kept talking anyway. Emily hadn't always been like this. Before the hospital, before the night shifts and the quiet halls, there had been her father. James Carter had been a construction worker, big hands, rough voice, always smelled like sawdust and coffee. When Emily was 17, he fell from scaffolding at a worksite. Severe traumatic brain injury. The doctors said the words carefully, gently, like glass that might shatter. Persistent vegetative state. Low probability of recovery. Prepare yourselves. Her mother cried. Her brother shut down. Emily stayed. Every day after school, she sat beside her father's bed. She talked about homework. About gossip. About the way her mom burned toast every morning. About nothing and everything. The nurses were polite, but distant. "Talking won't change anything," one of them had said once. Emily didn't care. 3 months later, when no one expected it, her father squeezed her hand. Barely. Weakly. But it was real. The doctors called it a miracle. Emily called it proof. Her father never fully recovered. He spoke slowly, walked with a limp, forgot things sometimes. But he lived. He laughed. He hugged her at her nursing school graduation. And Emily never forgot the lesson. You talk to people because they are people. Not because you expect something back. Most patients on Emily's floor were long-term cases. Stroke victims. Accident survivors. Coma patients whose families visited less and less as weeks turned into months. There was Mrs. Delgado in room 301, who hadn't opened her eyes in 2 years. There was young Tyler Brooks in 309, only 19, injured in a motorcycle accident. His friends had stopped coming. His parents still did, but less often now. And then there was Daniel Mercer in room 312. Daniel had been unconscious for 11 months. He was 32 years old, with dark hair that had grown too long and a scar running along his temple. A former high school English teacher, according to his chart. Car accident. Drunk driver. Wrong place, wrong time. Emily noticed him because his room felt different. Not warmer. Not brighter. Just full. Emily started talking to Daniel the way she talked to all of them. "Good evening, Daniel. It's Emily again. Your blood pressure looks good tonight." She adjusted his blanket. "Your sister came by earlier. She brought flowers, yellow ones this time." Pause. "She sat with you for a long time. She talked about her kids. They're growing fast." Emily never rushed. She never used a fake cheerful tone. She spoke like she would to anyone else. Other nurses noticed. And judged. "Hey," Orderly Mike said one night, leaning against the nurse's station. "Your boyfriend's still asleep?" Emily didn't look up from her charting. "He's a patient." "I know," Mike grinned. "Just saying, you spend a lot of time in there." Dana joined in. "Careful, Emily. You're gonna scare the new hires. They already think this wing's haunted." Emily smiled faintly but said nothing. Daniel's sister, Claire Mercer, came every Sunday afternoon. She was exhausted in the way only caregivers were, dark circles under her eyes, shoulders always tense. She sat beside Daniel's bed and read aloud from whatever book she was currently teaching in her middle school class. One night, during a shift overlap, Claire stayed late. She noticed Emily standing by Daniel's bed, speaking softly. Claire hesitated in the doorway. "Does he respond?" she asked quietly. Emily turned. "Not physically." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "No one's talked to him like that in months," she whispered. That night, Claire hugged Emily. Hospitals notice patterns. They noticed Emily spent longer in certain rooms. They noticed complaints from staff about unprofessional behavior. They noticed nothing measurable came from it. One morning, Emily was called into a meeting. Head nurse Franklin folded his hands on the desk. "Emily," he said, "we appreciate your dedication. But we need efficiency. Night shift is short-staffed. Lingering in rooms, especially with unresponsive patients, isn't ideal." Emily nodded. "I finish all my duties." "That's not the point," Franklin said. "This is a medical facility, not therapy." Emily looked at him calmly. "They're still patients," she said. Franklin sighed. "Just try to limit it." Emily said okay. She didn't stop. The night everything changed started with a storm. Thunder rattled the windows. Rain streaked down glass like tears. The hospital lights flickered once, then steadied. Emily was doing her rounds when she noticed Daniel's monitor spike. Heart rate elevated. Blood pressure irregular. She moved fast, adjusting settings, calling it in. "Probably nothing," the doctor said over the phone. "Keep an eye on him." Emily stayed. She sat beside Daniel's bed. "Hey," she whispered. "You're having a rough night." She took his hand. "You don't have to be scared," she said. "You're not alone." Her voice trembled just slightly. "I know it's dark. I know it hurts. But if you're still in there, you can rest. We've got you." The monitors slowly steadied. Emily exhaled. She didn't notice it at first. The tiniest movement. At 3:17 a.m., Daniel Mercer moved his finger. Just once. Emily froze. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure it would wake the whole floor. She leaned closer. "Daniel?" she whispered. "Nothing." She waited. Then it happened again. A slight curl of his fingers. Emily pressed the call button. Her voice shook. I need a doctor in 312. Now. Doctors rushed in. Lights flipped on. Machines beeped faster. Tests were run. Eyes were checked. Reflexes measured. Daniel didn't wake up. But he responded. Clear, undeniable responses. The doctor turned to Emily. How long has this been happening? Emily swallowed. Just now. The doctor nodded slowly. We'll run. Imaging in the morning. Emily stayed until sunrise. She talked to him the whole time. 3 days later, Daniel opened his eyes. Claire was there. Emily was not. But Emily came running when she heard. Daniel's eyes were unfocused at first. Confused. He struggled to speak. Water, he croaked. Claire cried. The doctors called it remarkable. Rare. Unexpected. But what happened next stunned everyone. When Emily entered the room, Daniel's gaze shifted. He looked directly at her. And smiled. Emily froze. Daniel whispered, barely audible. You're the one who talked. The room went silent. Emily stepped closer, tears streaming freely now. You heard me? Daniel nodded. Every night, he said. You told me I wasn't alone. Claire covered her mouth. The doctor stared. Emily sank into the chair, overwhelmed. Daniel's voice cracked. I tried to answer, he said. I just couldn't move. The story spread fast. Doctors called it coincidence. Some called it luck. Some called it impossible. Administration didn't scold Emily again. They didn't say anything at all. Families began asking for her by name. Can you assign Nurse Carter? She talks to them. My husband likes her voice. Emily never bragged. She just kept showing up. Months later, Emily stood in the neurology wing again. She paused outside room 301, Mrs. Delgado's room. She smiled softly. Good evening, she said. It's Emily. The monitors hummed. She spoke anyway. Because people mattered. Even when they couldn't answer. Especially then.